Imagine waking up to find your entire life stolen by the one person who knows you better than anyone, your identical twin sister. She didn't just borrow my clothes. She borrowed my boyfriend, my job, my voice, my face, late night texts I never sent, photos I never took, nights in my bed with him thinking it was me. She became me so perfectly, even I started doubting who was real. Until the night she walked into my company gala, wearing my dress, my smile, my name, and tried to erase me for good. This is the true story of how my twin sister ruined my life, and the brutal lesson that saved me. You won't believe how far she went. Hit play, if you dare.
Hi, I'm Emily Thompson, 31 years old, single. Well, I was, and for the past 10 years, a proud resident of Chicago, the city that never sleeps and apparently never forgives either. But if you really want to know where this story begins, you have to go back to a quiet little town called Hudson Falls, upstate New York. Population barely scraping 5,000 on a good day. The kind of place where everyone knows your name, your parents' names, and exactly how much trouble you got into last weekend. Ava and I were born 3 minutes apart. Me first, which she never let me forget. Identical twins, mirror images in every way that mattered on the outside. The same shoulder-length, wavy chestnut hair that frizzed like crazy in humidity. The same hazel eyes that shifted from green to gold depending on the light. The same faint freckles across the bridge of our noses that Mom used to call angel kisses. People used to stop us in the grocery store just to stare and coo. Which one's which, they'd ask, like we were some kind of puzzle. We'd giggle and swap names just to mess with them. It was our thing. We shared everything growing up. Literal clothes, same closet, same drawers, no boundaries. Secrets whispered under the covers after lights out. Even boys. In sophomore year, we both crushed hard on Tyler Reynolds, the quarterback with the crooked smile. We'd take turns accidentally bumping into him in the hallway, trading notes about what he said, how he smelled like cedar and Axe body spray. It felt innocent then, fun, like we were two halves of the same person experiencing life twice as fast. But even back then, the cracks were there if you looked close enough. Our parents split when we were 10, ugly, screaming fights that echoed through our split-level house on Maple Street. Dad moved out first, then came the lawyers, the custody hearings, the weekend visits that slowly turned into holiday cards and monthly checks that arrived late. Mom got full custody, mostly because Dad didn't fight that hard for it. He said he was starting over in Ohio, then Michigan, then who knows where. We saw him maybe twice a year until we stopped counting. Mom worked double shifts at the hospital to keep the lights on. That left Ava and I to raise each other more than she raised us. I became the responsible one almost by default. Straight A's, honor roll, student council, yearbook committee. I mapped out my future like it was a 5-year business plan. Northwestern University on a partial scholarship, marketing major, internship in the city, corner office by 35. Safe, predictable, mine. Ava? She was wildfire. She'd climb out her bedroom window at 16 to meet older guys at the quarry. She'd forge Mom's signature on permission slips so she could skip school and hitch rides to Albany for concerts. Teachers called her spirited. Mom called her a handful. I called her my sister, and I covered for her every single time. Because that's what twins do, right? We protect each other. We finish each other's sentences. We carry each other's secrets like they're our own. After high school, our paths split hard. I moved to Evanston for college, buried myself in textbooks and group projects and late-night coffee runs. Ava tried community college for 1 semester, hated it, dropped out, and started waitressing at a dive bar downtown. She bounced from job to job, boyfriend to boyfriend, always chasing the next rush. A modeling gig in Miami that lasted 3 weeks, a cross-country road trip with a musician who ghosted her in Denver. She'd call me at 2 a.m. crying, then laugh it off the next day like nothing happened. "Life's too short to play it safe, Em," she'd say. I'd roll my eyes and send her money for gas. We stayed connected, though. Texts every day, FaceTime on Sundays. She'd crash at my place whenever she rolled through Chicago. Usually broke, usually dramatic, always with a new story that sounded half made up. I never turned her away. How could I? She was the other half of me, the part that wasn't afraid to jump. Last summer, everything changed. I'd finally landed the job I'd been grinding toward for years, junior creative director at Catalyst Creative, one of the hottest boutique ad agencies in the Loop. Killer view of the river, glass-walled conference rooms, clients with 8-figure budgets. My first big campaign was launching in 3 months, and I was riding high. Then there was Jake. We met at a rooftop bar in Wrigleyville on a sticky July evening. He was there with coworkers. I was there celebrating a client win with Sarah, my best friend since freshman year. He bought me a gin and tonic without asking what I drank, just guessed right. Tall, dark hair that fell just over his forehead, software engineer at a fintech startup, dry humor that matched mine perfectly. When he smiled, it felt like someone turned up the brightness on the whole world. We started dating casually, then not so casually. Weekends at his place in Lincoln Park, cooking terrible pasta together, watching old movies on his projector. He listened when I rambled about work. He remembered little things, like how I hate olives and love extra ice in my drinks. For the first time in forever, I felt like my life was finally clicking into place. Good job, good guy, good future. Then Ava showed up. She'd just gotten dumped, again, by some tattooed bartender in Milwaukee. "I need a reset, Em," she said over the phone, voice small and shaky. "Can I crash for a couple weeks?" Of course I said yes. She arrived with one duffel bag, a sad smile, and a promise she was really going to get it together this time. For the first few days, it was almost like old times. We stayed up late watching reality TV, splitting a bottle of cheap rosé, laughing about high school drama. She'd help me pick outfits for dates with Jake, tease me about how whipped I was. "Look at you, big city girl in love," she'd say, poking my side. I'd swat her hand away and pretend to be annoyed. But something felt off. She started lingering in my room when I wasn't there. I'd come home from work and find her sitting at my vanity, trying on my lipstick shades, tilting her head the exact way I do when I check my reflection. Once I caught her in my closet wearing the red wrap dress I'd worn on my first real date with Jake, the one with the deep V-neck and the slit up the thigh. She twirled in front of the full-length mirror, mimicking my walk, my laugh, even the way I tuck my hair behind my ear when I'm nervous. "What the hell, Ava?" I said, half laughing because it was so ridiculous. She spun around, pitched her voice exactly like mine, same slight uptick at the end of sentences, and said, "Oh, Jake, you're so dreamy. Kiss me again." Then she dissolved into giggles. We both cracked up. It felt like a silly twin thing, something we'd done 100 times as kids. But that night, lying in bed with the city lights bleeding through the blinds, I couldn't shake the cold knot in my stomach. Why was she practicing my voice so perfectly? Why did the way she moved in my dress feel less like imitation and more like rehearsal? I told myself I was being paranoid. She was my sister, my twin, the person who knew me better than anyone on earth. Blood is thicker than suspicion, right? Wrong. Because that little moment in the closet, that was the first thread she pulled, the first crack in the mirror. And once it started, the whole reflection began to warp. I had no idea how far she'd go, how deep she'd dig, how completely she'd try to erase me and wear my life like it was hers all along. But looking back now, that red dress moment was the warning I should have heeded. Because Ava wasn't just borrowing my clothes, she was borrowing my everything, and she had no intention of giving any of it back.
The days after the closet incident blurred into a strange routine. I'd leave for the office at 7:30 a.m., dodging the L train crowds on the Red Line, earbuds in, mentally rehearsing pitches for the upcoming pitch to Brewhouse Coffee, a national chain looking to rebrand as the thinking person's caffeine. Ava would still be asleep on my pull-out couch when I left, the apartment smelling faintly of her vanilla body spray and whatever takeout we'd ordered the night before. By the time I got home, usually after 8 p.m., sometimes later if a client wanted just one more round of revisions, she'd have the place spotless. Dishes done, laundry folded, even my mail sorted into neat piles on the kitchen island. At first, it felt like a gift. You're spoiling me, I'd tease, dropping my bag and kicking off my heels. She'd shrug, that easy Ava smile flashing. Least I can do for crashing here rent-free. Besides, you're always so busy saving the world one slogan at a time. We'd order Thai or pizza, crack open a bottle of whatever was on sale at the corner liquor store, and talk, or rather, I'd talk, about the office drama with my micromanaging creative director, about how Jake had surprised me with tickets to a comedy show downtown next weekend, about how I was finally feeling like I belonged in this city instead of just surviving it. Ava would listen, chin in hand, eyes bright. She asked the right questions, laughed at the right moments. It was almost perfect. Almost. There were these tiny, nagging things, like how my phone would sometimes be face down on the coffee table when I swore I'd left its screen up, or how the battery drained faster than usual, even though I hadn't changed my habits. I chalked it up to her using it to order DoorDash when her own phone died, again. Then came the night that made the knot in my stomach tighten into something sharper. It was a Thursday. I'd had a brutal day. 3 back-to-back client calls, a presentation that bombed because the projector crapped out, and a passive-aggressive email from my boss about managing expectations. I dragged myself home around 10:30, starving and exhausted. The apartment was dark, except for the blue glow of the TV in the living room. Ava was curled on the couch under my favorite throw blanket, scrolling on her phone, or so I thought. "Hey," I said, flicking on the kitchen light. "You eat yet?" She jumped a little, quickly locking her screen. "Yeah, grab some leftovers. You look racked. Rough day?" Understatement. I opened the fridge, stared at the half-empty takeout containers, and decided on cereal instead. As I poured the frosted flakes, I noticed my phone charging on the counter. I hadn't left it there. I had had it in my hand on the L ride home. "Weird," I murmured. "What's weird?" Ava asked from the couch. "Nothing, just thought I had my phone with me." She laughed softly. "You're losing it, Em. Too many late nights." I shrugged it off, but when I picked up the phone, the screen lit up with a text notification from Jake. "Can't stop thinking about last night. You were on fire. Round 2 soon? Fire?" My spoon froze halfway to my mouth. Last night? I'd been home alone. I'd had a migraine, popped 2 Advil, and passed out by 9 p.m. Ava had gone out to meet some old friend from Milwaukee who was in town. I hadn't seen Jake since Tuesday. Heart hammering, I opened the thread. The messages went back a few days. Him, miss you already. Me, apparently. Miss you more, come over tonight? Him, can't, late stand-up meeting. Tomorrow? Me, promise, I'll make it worth your while. Gimme. Him, you always do. I felt sick. The emojis, the winky face, the suggestive tone. That wasn't me. I'm not the type to send thirsty texts at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday. I'm the one who schedules dates in Google Calendar. I walked into the living room, phone in hand. Ava was pretending to watch some true crime docuseries, but her eyes flicked to me the second I appeared. "Everything okay?" she asked. I held up the phone. "Explain this." She glanced at the screen, then back at me. Her expression shifted. Surprise, then confusion, then something almost amused. "Whoa, Jake's getting bold." "This isn't funny, Ava. I didn't send these. I was asleep last night." She sat up, blanket pulling around her waist. "Then who did?" I stared at her. The silence stretched. "You think I?" She laughed, sharp and sharp. "Come on, Em. Why would I text your boyfriend pretending to be you?" "I don't know. Why would you try on my dress and do my voice the other day?" "That was a joke. We've done stuff like that forever." "This isn't a joke. This is my relationship." She rolled her eyes, but there was a flicker, something defensive. "Maybe he's messing with you, or maybe you sent them and forgot. You've been stressed. Memory lapses happen." "I didn't forget." "Then check the timestamps. See if the phone was here or with you." I did. The messages were sent from my IP address, home Wi-Fi, between 10:15 and 11:03 p.m., while I was supposedly asleep in my room, while Ava was out. But she'd come home around midnight. I'd heard the door click. "You used my phone," I said quietly. Ava stood up, crossing her arms. "You're seriously accusing me of catfishing your boyfriend? That's low, even for paranoia o'clock." "I'm not paranoid. I'm looking at evidence." "Evidence? Texts you don't remember sending. Maybe you were half asleep, or maybe Jake's got another girl and he's covering his ass." The words landed like a slap. Doubt crept in, because that's what doubt does. It finds the cracks and widens them. I changed the subject. We went to bed without another word, but I couldn't sleep. I lay there staring at the ceiling fan, replaying every moment since she'd arrived. The way she'd ask about Jake's schedule, how she'd borrowed my login for Netflix because her account got hacked. The little comments, "You're so lucky, Em, he's hot and stable, rare combo." The next morning I left early without waking her. At work I buried myself in decks and mock-ups, trying to outrun the unease. Jake texted around noon. "Hey beautiful, still on for drinks tonight, 7 at the Violet Hour." I hesitated, then typed back, "Sure, see you there." I needed to see his face, needed to know if he was in on this somehow, or if I was losing my mind. That evening I got ready in silence while Ava watched from the couch, sipping wine. "Big date night?" she asked innocently. "Yeah."
Wear the black dress, the tight one, you'll lose it. I didn't answer. At the bar, Jake was already there, looking unfairly good in a navy button-down, sleeves rolled up. Normal, nice. Then he leaned in, voice low. You were so different last week. That energy, I liked it, a lot. My stomach dropped. Different how? He grinned. I don't know, bolder. You texted me some stuff that had me counting the hours till I saw you again. I forced a smile. Yeah. Like what? He pulled out his phone, scrolled, showed me a screenshot. My number, my words. Filthy, playful, nothing like the careful messages I usually sent. I felt the blood drain from my face. You okay? I nodded too quickly. Just surprised you saved it. Of course I did. It was hot. I excused myself to the bathroom, locked myself in a stall, and breathed. My hands shook. This wasn't a mix-up. This was deliberate. When I got home later, Ava was asleep, or pretending to be. My phone sat on the charger again. I opened my messages. A new one from Jake, sent after I left the bar. Tonight was great, but next time, bring that wild side again. I miss her already. I stared at the door to the living room, at my twin sister, sleeping peacefully on my couch. She wasn't just borrowing my clothes anymore. She was borrowing my voice, my intimacy, my life. And the whispers in the dark. They were getting louder. I didn't know how to stop them yet, but I knew one thing for sure. This wasn't ending with a laugh and a twin thing. This was only beginning.
The brewhouse pitch was everything. 3 months of late nights, mood boards taped to my living room wall, focus group feedback loops that made my eyes cross. Catalyst Creative had been gunning for this account for 2 years. National TV spots, digital takeover, the works. If we landed it, my name would be on the senior creative shortlist. Promotion, raise, actual breathing room in a city that chews up dreamers and spits them out broke. I was leading the deck, my deck. 32 slides of clean, bold visuals. Brewhouse isn't just coffee, it's clarity. I'd written every word, tweaked every kerning, rehearsed it in front of my bathroom mirror until my reflection looked convinced. Ava had even helped, sort of. She'd sit cross-legged on the floor, eating cold lo mein from the carton, pointing out when a slide felt too corporate or not sexy enough. I'd roll my eyes, but secretly appreciate it. She had an instinct for what popped, what felt alive. The night before the pitch, I was wrecked. Migraine crawling up the back of my skull like hot wires. I'd popped an Imitrex, dimmed every light in the apartment, and crawled into bed at 8:30. Don't wake me unless the building's on fire, I told Ava. She kissed my forehead like we were kids again. Sleep, superstar, I've got your back. I woke up at 5 a.m. feeling like I'd been hit by a truck, but the migraine had retreated. I showered, dressed in my power outfit, tailored black blazer, white silk blouse, slim trousers, and opened my laptop to do one last run-through. That's when I saw it. The final version of the deck, the one I'd saved at 11 p.m. the night before, had been overwritten. Timestamp 2:17 a.m. New file name, Brewhouse, Final V3, Emily Approved.ppxt. I opened it. The tagline was different. Original, Brewhouse, clarity in every cup. New, Brewhouse, wake up to who you really are. The supporting copy was bolder, riskier, less safe corporate speak, more emotional gut punch. One slide had a single black and white photo of a woman staring straight into camera, steam rising from her mug, overlaid with, "Stop pretending, start brewing." My stomach flipped. It was good, really good, but it wasn't mine. I stormed into the living room. Ava was already up, scrolling on her phone, coffee brewing. "Did you touch my deck?" She looked up, innocent. "What?" "Someone changed the tagline at 2 a.m. while I was asleep." She set her phone down slowly. "Okay, don't freak out." "I'm already freaking out." "I couldn't sleep. You were out cold. Your laptop was open on the coffee table, screensaver on. I just looked, and I thought the original was playing it too safe, so I tweaked it, a little." "A little? You rewrote half the narrative." "And it's better, Em. Admit it." I stared at her. Part of me wanted to scream. The other part, the exhausted, desperate part, opened the file again and read through the changes. The flow was tighter, the emotional hook stronger, the risk calculated. I rubbed my temples. "You can't just hijack my work." "I wasn't hijacking, I was helping. You were dying on that couch. I figured if I fixed it while you slept, you'd wake up to a win instead of another all-nighter." I wanted to argue. I really did. But the clock was ticking. The pitch was in 4 hours. And deep down, I knew she was right. The new version had teeth. "Fine," I said through gritted teeth. "But you ask next time. No more midnight surprises." She grinned, wide and bright. "Deal. Now go crush it." I did. The brewhouse execs ate it up. The room went quiet after the last slide, then erupted in applause. My creative director, usually a stone-faced cynic, actually smiled. "Thompson, that pivot on the tagline? Ballsy. Brilliant." Back at the office, the team high-fived me in the hallway. Emails floated in. "Killed it. Game changer. You're next up for senior." I floated through the rest of the day on adrenaline and too much espresso. When I got home that night, Ava had champagne chilling in the fridge and takeout sushi spread across the counter. "To my genius sister," she toasted, clinking her glass against mine. I let myself smile. "It was good, right?" "It was you, but better," she winked. For a moment, everything felt right again.
like we were a team. Like the weirdness, the texts, the dress, the phone was just static, noise. Then Jake texted, "Weekend getaway, Lake Michigan cabin, my treat, to celebrate your big win." My heart did that stupid flip it always did when he messaged. "Yes," I typed back immediately. "When?" "Friday after work. Backlight. I've got plans." I showed Ava the thread. She squealed like we were 16 again. "Finally, romantic getaway. You deserve this." We spent the next 2 nights planning. She helped me pick outfits, mostly hers, because you need to look hot, not corporate. She even packed for me while I was on a late call Thursday night. "Trust me," she said. "I know what he likes." Friday morning I left for the office buzzing. Half day only. Jake was picking me up at 3. I wrapped up loose ends, forwarded files, shut down my laptop. When I got home at 2:30, Ava was in the bedroom, zipping my weekend bag. "Almost done," she said. "You're gonna knock him dead." I glanced at the open bag. Lingerie I didn't recognize, black lace, strappy, expensive looking, sat neatly folded on top. "Where did that come from?" She shrugged. "I picked it up yesterday. Early birthday present. Used your card. Venmo me later. Promise." I stared at the set. It wasn't my style. Too bold. Too Ava. "I don't wear stuff like that." "You do now," she grinned. "Jake's gonna lose his mind." I felt the first real crack then. Not anger, something colder. A whisper of wrongness that settled in my ribs and wouldn't leave. But I was running late. Jake was texting. "Outside in 10. I sipped the bag, hugged Ava goodbye, and headed downstairs. The weekend was perfect on the surface. Cabin on a quiet stretch of lake, fireplace, wine, long walks on the beach at sunset. Jake held my hand like he never wanted to let go. "I'm proud of you," he said one night, forehead against mine. "You're unstoppable." I wanted to believe it, but every time I reached for my phone, I thought about those texts I hadn't sent. Every time he kissed me harder than usual, I wondered if he was remembering someone else's fire. And when I unpacked Sunday night, back in my Chicago apartment, I found the receipt tucked in the side pocket of my bag. Victoria's Secret, $148.67. Date, Thursday. Time, 7:42 p.m. While I was on that late client call, Ava had gone shopping as me. I stood in the kitchen, receipt trembling in my hand, listening to her hum in the shower. The first crack had widened, and something cold was seeping through. I didn't confront her that night. I wasn't ready. But I started locking my laptop. I started sleeping with my phone under my pillow. And I started wondering, really wondering, if the sister who'd always had my back was now standing behind me with a knife. Because the changes she'd made to my deck, they weren't just tweaks. They were the first rewrite of me. And she was only getting started.
The Lake Michigan cabin weekend was supposed to be my reset button. Just me, Jake, and a bottle of Pinot on a private dock with nothing but water and pine trees for miles. No deadlines, no L train delays, no sister drama. I needed it after the brewhouse win and all the weird little incidents that kept piling up like unpaid bills. We left Friday evening, windows down, Jake's indie playlist blasting through the speakers of his Jeep. He reached over and squeezed my thigh every few minutes, grinning like a guy who'd won the lottery. "You have no idea how much I needed this," he said. I believed him. I needed it too. The cabin was perfect. Cozy A-frame, stone fireplace, king bed with flannel sheets. We grilled steaks, made s'mores like teenagers, and stayed up until the fire burned low, talking about everything and nothing. Saturday, we hiked a trail that ended at a hidden beach. He took photos of me skipping stones, hair wild in the wind, and kept saying, "God, you're beautiful." That night, in the black lace lingerie Ava had packed, things got intense, passionate, almost desperate. Jake couldn't keep his hands off me, whispering how much he loved the new energy I was bringing. I laughed it off at the time. New energy, sure, maybe the getaway vibe, maybe the lingerie, maybe I was finally relaxing. But on the drive home Sunday afternoon, traffic crawling back into the city, he dropped the first real shadow. He glanced over, fingers drumming the steering wheel. "You know, sometimes you feel like two different people." I turned down the music. "What do you mean?" He smiled, but it was thoughtful, almost puzzled. "Like, one day you're all sweet and thoughtful, planning picnics, remembering I hate cilantro. Then the next, you're this total firecracker. Wild texts, showing up out of nowhere, dragging me into alleyways for makeout sessions." He laughed. "Not that I'm complaining, I love both versions. Just interesting." My skin prickled. Alleyways? I'd never dragged him anywhere. The wild texts, yeah, those were ringing a bell. The ones I hadn't sent. I forced a light tone. Maybe I'm just full of surprises. He reached for my hand. "Keep surprising me. I'm into it." I stared out the window at the Chicago skyline growing closer and felt the first real chill crawl up my spine. Firecracker. That was Ava's brand, not mine. Monday hit like a freight train. Back-to-back meetings, inbox exploding with brewhouse follow-ups. I barely had time to breathe, let alone process the weekend. Ava greeted me at the door with a hug and a glass of wine. Tell me everything. Was the lingerie a hit? I set my bag down, kicked off my heels. Total hit. Thanks, I think. She squealed. Knew it. Details, woman. I gave her the PG version. Sunsets, steaks, how sweet Jake was. She listened, eyes sparkling, asking a million questions. What did he say when he saw the lace? Did you do it on the dock? In the shower? I laughed, dodged, changed the subject. Something about her enthusiasm felt hungry, like she was living through me. That night, Jake texted, still buzzing from the weekend. That side of you? Addictive. I replied with a simple heart emoji and went to bed uneasy. The next few days, the shadows got darker. Tuesday, my Instagram story, posted at 11:47 p.m., was a selfie in a low-cut top I'd never worn, captioned, feeling naughty, who wants to play? I woke up to 47 DMs from guys I hadn't spoken to since college. I deleted it immediately, heart racing. I'd been asleep, phone on my nightstand. Wednesday, Jake canceled our dinner plans. Swamped with a bug in the code. Rain check? Fine, normal. But at 9 p.m., he texted, "You're killing me with these pics. Stop teasing and come over." No pics from me. I checked my sent folder, nothing. But when I asked to see what he got, he forwarded a mirror selfie in my bathroom wearing my silk robe open just enough, biting her lip. My bathroom, my robe. Ava's smirk. I confronted her in the kitchen. Did you send Jake photos pretending to be me? She was chopping veggies for stir-fry, knife moving fast. What? No way. Then how did he get a photo from my bathroom last night? She paused, looked up. Maybe you sent it and forgot. You've been stressed. I was at Sarah's book club till 10. You know that. A shrug. Maybe the phone could have been in your purse, butt dial or something. It's a mirror selfie, Ava. Someone posed for it. Her eyes flicked away. Weird. Maybe he's got a side chick sending stuff to mess with you? I wanted to scream. Instead, I changed every password. Instagram, phone, everything. Set up two-factor. Told myself that would fix it. It didn't. Thursday night, I came home early, hoping to catch a quiet evening. The apartment was dim, city lights flickering through the blinds. I heard music, my playlist, the sexy one I saved for date nights, low, sultry beats, and voices, Jake's laugh, deep and familiar, then a moan, my moan, or a perfect copy. I dropped my keys. They clanged loud on the hardwood. The bedroom door was cracked closed. I pushed it. There they were. Jake on my bed, shirt off, jeans unbuttoned. Ava straddling him, wearing nothing but that black lace set from the cabin, hair tousled exactly like mine after sex. She was kissing his neck, grinding slow, whispering, "You feel so good, baby." Jake's eyes were closed, hands on her hips. Emily. I froze in the doorway, the world tilting. Ava turned her head first, our eyes locked. Instead of shock, her lips curved into a slow, satisfied smirk. "Surprise, sis." Jake's eyes snapped open. He shoved her off, scrambling for his shirt. "Emily? Wait, what the hell?" Ava sat back on her heels, not covering up, totally calm. "Oops, the cat's out of the bag." I couldn't breathe. "Get out, both of you." Jake stood, face pale. "She told me she was you. She opened the door, pulled me in, said you wanted to surprise me after I texted about being stressed. She had your laugh, your stories, everything." I looked at Ava. She tilted her head, mimicking my confused face from 100 childhood fights. "Come on, Em, it was just a little fun. He thought it was you the whole time." Jake was shaking his head, pulling on his shoes. "I swear, Emily, I would never—" "Leave," I said, voice flat. He paused at the door, eyes pleading. "Please let me explain." I slammed it behind him. Ava slipped on my robe, my favorite gray one, and padded to the kitchen like nothing happened, poured herself water. "You're overreacting." "Overreacting?" My voice cracked. "You slept with my boyfriend." "Technically, he slept with you," she smiled. "I was just standing in." I lunged at her but stopped short. "Why?" She leaned against the counter, because I wanted to know what it felt like to be the one he couldn't keep his hands off, to be the girl with the perfect life. This isn't a game, Ava. To me, it is. Her eyes hardened. You got everything. The career, the guy, the future. I just borrowed a little. I grabbed her duffel from the closet, started throwing her clothes in. Pack, you're gone. Tonight. She laughed. You can't kick me out. I'm your sister. Watch me. She stepped closer, voice low. Kick me out and I'll tell Mom you're having a breakdown. Tell Jake you've been playing both of us. Tell your boss you're unstable. Who do you think they'll believe? The hot mess or the perfect twin who looks exactly like me? I stared at her, my face, my voice, my reflection, and for the first time I was terrified of it. That night, I slept with my bedroom door locked, chair jammed under the knob. I cried until my eyes burned. The shadows weren't just over my love anymore. They were inside my home, and they had my face.
The door slammed behind Jake so hard the picture frames rattled on the wall. I stood in the hallway, chest heaving, staring at the spot where he'd disappeared like he could still be there if I just blinked hard enough. The apartment felt smaller suddenly, walls pressing in, air too thick to breathe. Ava was still in the kitchen, leaning against the counter in my gray robe like she owned it, owned everything. She sipped from a water glass, eyes calm, almost curious, watching me unravel. "You're shaking," she said softly. "Sit down before you fall. Don't tell me what to do." She set the glass down with a gentle clink. Come on, it's not the end of the world." I laughed, sharp, ugly. "You fucked my boyfriend, in my bed, pretending to be me, and you think that's not the end of the world?" She tilted her head, the way I do when I'm trying to understand something complicated. "He thought I was you. That's on him, not me." "No, that's on you. You opened the door. You kissed him. You let him think." "He wanted it." Her voice dropped, intimate, like she was sharing a secret. "He wanted the version of you that's not so careful, the version that texts dirty at midnight, that shows up unannounced, that doesn't ask permission. He wanted fire, Em, and you've been giving him ice for months." The words hit like ice water, because part of me, the small, scared part, wondered if she was right. Had I been too safe, too predictable? Had I let work swallow me so completely that Jake had been starving for something I couldn't give? No, I shoved the thought away. "You stole him," I said. "You stole us." Ava shrugged one shoulder. "I borrowed. Big difference." I turned away, walked to the bedroom. The sheets were still twisted, the air heavy with sex and her vanilla perfume. I ripped them off the mattress in one violent yank, balled them up and threw them toward the laundry hamper. They missed, landed in a heap on the floor like evidence. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. "Jake." "I'm so sorry. Please pick up. I swear I didn't know." I let it ring until voicemail. Another text. "She sounded exactly like you, looked like you, told me you'd been planning this surprise for weeks, said you wanted to spice things up. I believed her because, God, Emily, it felt like you. The way she touched me, the things she said, it was all the parts of you I've been missing." I read it twice, 3 times, each word carved deeper. I didn't reply. Then I blocked his number. Then I blocked hers, just in case she tried to text me from his phone later. Ava appeared in the doorway, arms crossed. "You're really doing this? Kicking me out over one mistake?" "One mistake?" I spun on her. "You've been impersonating me for weeks. The texts, the photos, the deck changes, the lingerie. This wasn't one night. This was calculated." She stepped closer. "I was helping you, pushing you out of your comfort zone. You should be thanking me." I stared at her, my face, my eyes, my mouth, and felt something break inside. "Get your stuff. Leave. Now." For the first time, her mask slipped. Something raw flashed across her features. Hurt, maybe, or anger. "You can't just erase me, Em. We're twins. We're the same." "We're not the same. Not anymore." She laughed, low and bitter. "You think you're better. You think your perfect little life makes you better. Newsflash, you're boring, safe, predictable. Jake was bored. That's why he jumped at me so fast." "Stop."
He wanted passion. He wanted someone who'd fuck him like the world was ending, not someone who schedules sex between meetings. Stop it. She stepped right up to me, noses almost touching. Admit it, part of you is glad I did it, because now you don't have to be the one who disappoints him. I shoved her, hard. She stumbled back, caught herself on the dresser. For a second, we just stared at each other, breathing hard. Then she straightened, smoothed the rope. Fine, I'll go, but this isn't over. She packed in silence, duffel bag, makeup case, the red dress from the closet incident. When she zipped it shut, she paused at the door. By the way, she said casually, your passport's in my bag. I needed it for ID when I opened that new credit card in your name. Don't worry, I only used it for a couple things. You'll get it back eventually. My blood turned to ice. What credit card? She smiled, sweet, almost sad. She walked out. I locked the door behind her, double-checked the deadbolt. Then I sank to the floor, back against the wood, and cried until my throat was raw. The next morning I called in sick. First time in 2 years. I spent the day on the phone with banks, credit bureaus, the police. A bored-sounding officer took my statement over the line. Identity theft, fraud, possible impersonation. Twins complicate things, he said. We'll need proof it wasn't consensual sharing. Proof. Like I needed more proof than the ache in my chest. By afternoon, the first charges appeared online. $1,200 at Nordstrom, $800 at a spa downtown, $450 at a boutique hotel in the Gold Coast for a staycation I never took. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned. That evening, Sarah came over with wine and takeout. I told her everything, every detail, every betrayal. She listened, horrified, then furious. She's sick, Em. This isn't normal twin stuff. This is pathological. I know. You need to protect yourself. Change the locks, freeze your credit, file a police report in person. I did the first 2 today. Police tomorrow. She hugged me tight. You're not alone in this. But I felt alone. Bone deep alone. 2 days later, Jake showed up at my door, unannounced. Eyes red, hair messy, like he hadn't slept. Please, he said when I cracked the door. Just hear me out. I let him in, only because I wanted answers. He paced the living room. I keep replaying it, every second. She knew things. Our first date, the way you laugh when you're nervous, how you hate when I leave dishes in the sink. She even quoted that stupid line from our second date about building something real. I thought you were finally letting go, being vulnerable. I crossed my arms, and you didn't notice anything off. She looked like you, sounded like you, felt like you. His voice cracked. I'm so sorry, Emily. I hate myself for it. I wanted to believe him. Part of me still loved him, still remembered the good nights, the quiet mornings, the way he'd kiss my forehead when I was stressed. But the image of him with her, my face, my body, was burned into me. I can't do this, I said quietly. Not now. Maybe not ever. He nodded, tears in his eyes. I get it. I just needed you to know I never meant to hurt you. He left. I didn't cry that time. I was too empty. Later that week, my boss called me into his office. Emily, we need to talk about your performance. My stomach dropped. What's wrong? He slid a printout across the desk. Emails from my account, sent late at night, tone snippy and professional. Request for time off I never asked for. A transfer application to the New York office I never submitted. HR is concerned, he said. This doesn't sound like you. Because it wasn't. I explained. Ava, the impersonation, the identity theft. He listened, skeptical at first, then concerned. We'll investigate, he said. But you're on probation until we sort this out. No client-facing work for now. Probation. After everything I'd built. I went home that night and found a single note taped to my fridge. In my handwriting, perfect forgery. The fun's just starting, sis. Sweet dreams. Hey. I tore it down, handshaking. She wasn't gone. She was everywhere. In my accounts, in my job, in my bed, in my head. And the worst part, I still saw her face every time I looked in the mirror. My own face. Shattered trust doesn't break clean. It splinters, and those splinters were working their way deep into every corner of my life. I didn't know how much further she'd go. But I knew one thing. I wasn't safe. Not even in my own skin.
The note on the fridge stayed up for exactly 12 hours. I couldn't bring myself to touch it at first. Like if I left it there, maybe it wasn't real. But by morning, the paper had curled at the edges from the steam of my coffee maker, and the words in my own handwriting stared back at me like a taunt. I ripped it down, crumpled it, and shoved it into the trash under a pile of takeout containers. Then I pulled it out again, smoothed it flat, and took a photo with my phone. Evidence. I was starting to think like a detective in my own life. I called the non-emergency police line again. Different officer this time. Detective Ramirez, mid-40s, voice like gravel over concrete. He listened without interrupting while I walked him through the note, the credit charges, the hotel staycation I never booked, the transfer request to New York from my work email. When I finished, he sighed the way people do when they've heard this story before. Twins, he said. Makes it messy. We'll need documentation, credit reports, email headers, timestamps, anything showing unauthorized access. You got security footage from your building. No cameras in the hallways, just the lobby. Figures. Come down to the station tomorrow. Bring everything. We'll file the report properly. Get fraud alerts rolling. I thanked him, hung up, and spent the rest of the morning on hold with 3 different banks. By noon, my credit was frozen nationwide. New cards ordered, old ones canceled. It felt like putting up sandbags against a flood already halfway through the house. Sarah insisted I get out of the apartment. You're spiraling in there. Meet me at that new cafe on Milwaukee. Neutral ground, good coffee, no ghosts. I went. The place was packed with laptops and 20-somethings in beanies. Sarah was already at a corner table, 2 lattes waiting. She hugged me so tight I almost spilled mine. You look like hell, she said. Thanks. Seriously, Em, when's the last time you slept more than 4 hours? I shrugged. Doesn't matter. I can't sleep anyway. Every noise, I think it's her coming back. Sarah reached across the table, squeezed my hand. She's not getting back in. You changed the locks. Deadbolt's new. You're safe. I wanted to believe her, but safe felt like a word from someone else's vocabulary. That afternoon, I did what I should have done weeks earlier. I hired help. Mike Kowalski, private investigator, South Side guy, ex-cop, office in a converted storefront near Midway with a neon investigations sign that flickered even in daylight. His website was from 2009, Comic Sans, grainy headshot, but the reviews were solid. Discreet, thorough, doesn't bullshit. I met him at 4 p.m. He was bigger than his photo. 6'3", salt and pepper buzz cut, hands like catcher's mitts. He offered me coffee from a pot that smelled like it had been brewing since breakfast. I declined. Twins, huh? He said after I laid it all out. That's a new one. Usually it's exes or roommates. Family makes it uglier. He took notes on a yellow legal pad, old school, no laptop, asked sharp questions. When did she first stay over? Did she ever have unsupervised access to my devices? Bank statements, social security number? I answered everything. When I got to the Jake part, he raised one eyebrow but didn't judge. Motives, he said when I finished. Jealousy's the obvious one. Resentment from childhood. Maybe she's always felt like the lesser twin. Mom favored you? I nodded slowly. I was the good one. Grades, college, job. Ava was chaos. Mom tried, but Ava pushed back harder every time. Mike leaned back, chair creaking. Chaos kids don't just grow out of it, they evolve. Sounds like she's evolving into you. He quoted me a rate, reasonable, cash preferred, and promised a preliminary report in 48 hours. I'll start with financials, then tail her if she's still in the city. You got a recent photo? I pulled up one from last Christmas, us in ugly sweaters, arms around each other, smiling like nothing could ever break us. Mike studied it for a long moment. Identical, he muttered. Makes surveillance tricky. She could walk right past me and I'd never know. I left his office feeling lighter and heavier at the same time. Someone else was looking now. Someone who knew how to find people who didn't want to be found. 2 days later, he called. Got something, he said. Meet me at the office. When I arrived, he had printouts spread across his desk like a crime scene map. Bank statements, credit reports, a Google Maps screenshot pinned to a motel in Hammond, Indiana, just across the state line. She's been busy, he said. Opened 3 new credit lines in your name over the past month. Total draw, almost $9,000. Used your SSN, your address, even uploaded a photo ID. Looks like your driver's license, but the background's different. Probably photoshopped. My mouth went dry. How? Easy if she had access to your mail, or if she sweet-talked someone at the DMV. Twins get away with that shit sometimes. He slid another page over. Hotel receipts, gas station charges, a bar tab in Gary, all time-stamped after she left my place. And here's the kicker, he said. He tapped a grainy still from a security camera outside a Bank of America in Merrillville, a woman in a hoodie, head down, depositing cash. The timestamp matched one of the fraudulent withdrawals. Even blurry, the posture was unmistakable. My posture, the way I shift my weight to my left hip when I'm nervous. That's her, I whispered. Mike nodded. She's not hiding hard. Either she's sloppy, or she wants you to know she's out there. I stared at the photo until my eyes wettered. What now? You file the police report with this. I'll keep digging, phone pings, social media traces. But Emily, he met my eyes. She's not done. People like this, they don't stop until they're forced to, or until they win. I drove home in silence, windows up, radio off. Rush hour traffic crawled around me, horns blaring, but it all felt distant, like I was underwater. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat on the couch with every light on, scrolling through old photos of us, kindergarten, matching pinafores, prom, matching dresses we swore were different colors, college graduation, me in cap and gown, her in the audience snapping pics, looking proud. When did the pride turn to poison? Around 2 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. A single photo attachment. Me at the brew house celebration party last month, laughing, glass raised, surrounded by coworkers. Except I hadn't posted that photo anywhere, and in the background, barely visible through the crowd, was Ava, wearing my black blazer, holding my phone, taking the picture. The text below it, "Miss me yet? Your life looks better with me in it." I dropped the phone like it burned. She wasn't just stealing money or credit. She was stealing moments, memories, proof that I existed, and she was rewriting them with herself in the frame. I called Reich at 7 a.m. the next morning. "Find her," I said, "before she erases me completely." He didn't waste words. On it. But deep down, I already knew. She wasn't erasing me. She was becoming me. And the scariest part? The mirror in my bathroom showed the same face every morning. Hers, mine, ours. And I wasn't sure which one was the ghost anymore.
The days after Ava disappeared stretched into a gray haze. Chicago kept moving, sirens wailing down Michigan Avenue, the L rattling overhead, tourists snapping selfies at the Bean. But my world had shrunk to the size of my apartment. Every creak in the floorboards made me jump. Every notification on my phone set my heart into my throat. I kept the blinds half closed, the lights low. Paranoia had moved in, and it paid rent in sleepless nights. Mike called every 48 hours, like clockwork. "No hits yet on the usual spots," he'd say. "No new charges popping up either. She's gone quiet. Too quiet." Quiet wasn't relief. Quiet was her planning. I tried to go back to normal. I showed up at the office, head down, focused on busy work while probation dragged on. My boss kept his distance. Polite nods in the hallway. No more client invites. The brewhouse team had moved on without me. Someone else got credit for the follow-up creative. I told myself it didn't matter. Survival mattered. But survival felt like treading water in the dark. The calls started on a Tuesday. First one came at 3:17 a.m. Unknown number. I answered half asleep, voice thick. "Hello? Emily? Hey, it's Ryan from Northwestern. Long time, right? Listen, I got your text last night. You okay?" Sounded intense. I sat up, lights off, sheets tangled. "What text?" "You said you were thinking about me, wanted to meet up. Sent a photo. Damn, you still look good. Said you were in town and lonely." I hadn't texted Ryan since graduation. We'd dated senior year. Brief, messy, ended when he moved to Seattle for a startup. I hadn't thought about him in years. "I didn't send anything," I said. Silence. Then a nervous laugh. "Weird. Spoofed number, maybe? Sorry if I woke you." He hung up. I stared at the ceiling until dawn. 2 hours later, another call. This one from an old high school friend, Casey, now living in Austin.
Girl, what the hell? You left me a voicemail at 2 a.m., crying, saying you made a mistake breaking up with me back in the day. You were drunk, talking about how you still dream about me. I'm married now, you know that. I hadn't spoken to Casey since prom. We'd never dated. She was straight, so was I. It was absurd, terrifying. I didn't call you, I whispered. She paused. Then who did? Because it was your voice, exact, even the little hitch when you're upset. I hung up, hands shaking so bad I dropped the phone. By the end of the week, 5 more calls. Exes, old coworkers, a guy I'd gone on one coffee date with 3 years ago, all with the same story. Late-night messages or voice notes from me, flirty, desperate, nostalgic. Some angry, some tearful, all in my voice. I changed my number, got a new SIM, told no one but Sarah and Mike. But the damage was spreading. My reputation, the careful, professional Emily Thompson, was being rewritten one humiliating call at a time. Mike finally had a lead. She's in Indiana, he said over coffee at a greasy diner near his office. Motel 6 off I-94, room 214. Checked in under your name 3 days ago. Used your passport for ID. My stomach lurched. How did you find it? Credit card skimming trail. She bought gas nearby with one of the cards before you froze everything. Motel clerk remembered her. Said she paid cash after that, but flashed the passport when he asked for ID. Twins thing. He didn't question it. I gripped my coffee mug. I'm going. Mike shook his head. Bad idea. Let me tail her first. Confirm she's still there. You show up, she bolts. Or worse, she plays the victim. Cries to the clerk that you're the crazy one. I need to see her. You need to stay alive and sane. Give me 24 hours. I gave him 12. That night I drove. South on I-90, past the steel mills, the refineries, the flat Indiana nothing. Rain started halfway, smearing the windshield. My hands ached from gripping the wheel. I kept the radio off, just the slap of wipers and my own breathing. The motel looked exactly like every bad decision in a crime show. Peeling paint, buzzing neon vacancy sign, cars parked crooked under sodium lights. Room 214 was on the second floor, curtains drawn, TV flickering blue through the gap. I parked across the lot, hood up, engine off. Watched. Nothing for an hour. Then the door opened. A woman stepped out, hoodie, jeans, sneakers. She lit a cigarette, inhaled deep, exhaled smoke into the wet air. Even from 50 yards, the posture was mine, the way she cocked her hip, the flick of her wrist when she tapped Ash. Ava. She glanced around, casual, but scanning. Then she went back inside. I waited another 30 minutes. No movement. I got out, crossed the lot, climbed the metal stairs quiet as I could. The door was thin. I pressed my ear to it. Voices. Low. One was hers, laughing softly. The other was a man's, unfamiliar. Told you she'd freak, Ava was saying. Give it time, she'll crack. The man chuckled. You sure this is worth it? She's already freezing accounts. Worth every second. She took everything from me growing up. Now I take it back. Silence. Then wrestling. A zipper. A soft moan. I backed away, bile in my throat. I didn't need to hear more. I drove to the nearest gas station, parked under the bright lights, and called Mike. She's here, room 214, with some guy. He cursed under his breath. Get out of there, now. I'm calling local BD. Anonymous tip. Possible identity theft in progress. They'll check it out. I want my passport back. You want to stay out of jail, or worse, go home. I didn't go home. I sat in the parking lot until 2 a.m., watching the door. Around 1:45 it opened again. Ava stepped out alone this time, duffel over her shoulder. She looked around, lit another cigarette, then walked to a beat-up Honda Civic 2 spaces down. She tossed the bag in the trunk, got behind the wheel, and pulled out. I followed. Not close. 3 cars back, hard hammering. She took surface streets, then merged onto I-94 west, towards Chicago, towards me. At a rest stop near Highland, she pulled in. I parked far away, watched her go into the women's restroom. When she came out, she was different. Hair tent under a baseball cap, sunglasses, even at night. She bought a coffee from the machine, sipped it, then got back in the car. I waited until she left, then went inside. The restroom was empty except for one stall. On the sink counter, a small makeup bag, my makeup bag, the one I kept in my bathroom drawer. Inside, my favorite lipstick, half used, a hair tie with a few strands of my hair still got in it, and a folded note on top. In my handwriting, of course. Follow me if you want your stuff back, but remember, I know where you sleep. Your better half. I crumpled it, shoved it in my pocket. Back in my car, I drove home shaking. When I got there, the apartment was untouched, but on my pillow, a single photo. Me, at the rest stop, just now, taken from across the lot. She'd known I was following her the whole time. I locked every door, every window, sat on the floor with my back to the wall, knees to chest. Mike texted at dawn. Motel room empty. She checked out at 3 a.m. No forwarding address, but they found something. He sent a photo. The room, trashed.
clothes scattered, makeup smeared on the mirror, and on the wall, in red lipstick. Emily Thompson was here, but the signature underneath wasn't mine. It was hers. Ava. The ghost wasn't running anymore. She was hunting, and I was the prey wearing her face.
The company gala was supposed to be my comeback. Catalyst Creative's annual Vision Forward event. Black tie, open bar, rooftop at the Aeon Center, with the city lights glittering like scattered diamonds below. My probation had ended 2 weeks earlier, after HR finally cleared the forged emails as external unauthorized access. My boss had even pulled me aside in the break room. "We're glad you're back, Thompson. Brewhouse is still singing your praises. Show up strong Saturday. Network. Remind everyone why we fought to keep you." I spent 3 days agonizing over the dress. Not Ava's bold red number. This time I chose something safe, elegant, navy silk, high neck, fitted, but not flashy, sleeves to the elbow, professional, controlled, me. I did my makeup carefully, neutral eyes, soft lip, hair in a lotion yawn. No room for mistakes, no room for her. Sarah came over to help sit me up. "You look like a boss," she said, adjusting the thin gold chain at my throat. "She's not getting in your head tonight." "She's already in there," I admitted, "but I'm not letting her win this round." The elevator ride up felt endless. When the doors opened, the rooftop was alive. Stringlets, jazz trio, champagne flutes catching the glow. I scanned the crowd instinctively. No Ava. Of course not. She wouldn't be that obvious. Or so I thought. I worked the room, shook hands with clients, laughed at my creative director's bad jokes, accepted compliments on the Brewhouse campaign like they didn't still sting. For the first time in months, I felt the old rhythm returning, conversation flowing, smiles genuine, the city humming beneath me like it used to. Then I saw her. She was across the rooftop, near the bar, in conversation with my boss, wearing the exact navy dress I had on. Same cut, same fabric, same length. Her hair was in the same lotion yawn, same gold chain, same soft makeup. She laughed at something he said. My laugh, the one I practiced in mirrors for client pitches. She tilted her head exactly the way I do when listening intently. My boss spotted me first. His smile faltered, confused. "Emily, wait, there's 2 of you?" Heads turned, whispers rippled outward like dropped stones in water. Ava toned slowly. Our eyes locked across the crowd. She raised her champagne flute in a mock toast, lips curving into that familiar smirk. I moved before I could think, pushed through clusters of suits and gowns, heart slamming against my ribs. People parted like I was on fire. When I reached them, my boss looked between us, mouth half open. "Emily?" "That's not me," I said, voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. "That's my twin sister, Ava. She's impersonating me. She's been doing it for months." Ava blinked, wide-eyed innocence. "Em, what are you talking about?" She touched my boss's arm lightly, the same gentle gesture I used to soften bad news. "I'm sorry, Mr. Hargrove. My sister's been under a lot of stress lately. She's confused." The crowd hushed. Phones came out, discreetly at first, then openly. I stepped closer. "Tell him who you really are." She laughed softly, my laugh. "I'm Emily Thompson. Ask anyone here. They've seen me at meetings, on calls, and emails." Mr. Hargrove frowned. "You've been in my office twice this month, Emily. We discussed the Chicago Tribune pitch." "That was me, not her." Ava shook her head sadly. "Em, please, not here." Security arrived, 2 guys in black suits, earpieces. "Ladies, we need you to step outside." I didn't move. She stole my identity, my job, my boyfriend. Check the security footage, check the guest list. She's not on it as Emily Thompson. Ava's eyes filled with tears, perfect, glistening tears. "Officer, please, my sister's having a breakdown. She's been unstable for months. I came tonight to support her, but she attacked me." Gasps, murmurs. Someone whispered, "Twins, that's insane." I lunged forward, grabbed her wrist. "Stop lying." She winced dramatically. "You're hurting me." Security pulled us apart. One took my arm, the other took hers. They marched us toward the elevators like we were both criminals. In the hallway outside the rooftop doors, away from the crowd, Ava dropped the act. She leaned in close, voice low and venomous. "You think you can humiliate me in front of your fancy friends? I deserve your life. You wasted it on safe choices and boring boyfriends. I'm living it better." I stared into my own face, twisted now with rage. "You're sick." "Maybe, but I'm winning." The elevator dinged. Security ushered us in, down 40 floors in silence. When the doors opened in the lobby, police were already waiting, 2 uniforms and Detective Ramirez. Ramirez nodded at me. "Miss Thompson, we got a call from event security. Said there was an altercation involving identity fraud." I pointed at Ava. "That's her. Arrest her." Ava burst into tears again, convincing, wrenching sobs. "Officer, please. My sister's having a breakdown. She's been unstable for months. I came tonight to support her, but she attacked me." Ramirez looked between us, identical dresses, identical faces, identical tears now streaking both our cheeks. He sighed. "We're going to need statements, both of you, downtown." They separated us into squad cars. Mine smelled like coffee and vinyl. Ava's, across the lot, had her still crying, gesturing wildly.
At the station, they put us in separate interview rooms. I told Ramirez everything again. The texts, the photos, the credit cards, the motel, the gala crash. He listened, took notes. Fingerprints will help, he said. We pulled hers from the motel room. If they match any of the forged documents or your apartment break-in, we've got her. They fingerprinted us both. Ava went quietly, almost serenely. 2 hours later, Ramirez came back. Prints matched, he said. The new credit applications, the hotel check-in, even a partial on your apartment doorframe from the night you said she ransacked it. I exhaled, shaky, relieved. Ava was charged. Identity theft, fraud, forgery, stalking. Bail set high. She didn't fight it. As they let her away in cuffs, she turned one last time. Our eyes met through the glass partition. She mouthed 2 words. I'm sorry. I didn't believe her. But the way her shoulders slumped, the way the fight drained from her face, it looked almost real. Almost. I left the station at 3 a.m. Sarah picked me up, drove me home in silence. When we got inside, I collapsed on the couch. It's over, I whispered. Sarah sat beside me. Is it? I looked at the mirror across the room. My reflection stared back, tired, mascara streaked, navy dress wrinkled. For the first time in months, it was just me. No shadow, no echo. But the breaking point wasn't the arrest. It was realizing how close she'd come to replacing me completely. How easy it had been for the world to believe her. Because she wore my face, spoke my words, moved my way. Because in the end, the scariest thing wasn't that she stole my life. It was that she made everyone question whether I'd ever really owned it. I stood up, walked to the mirror, touched the glass, whispered to my reflection, "You're enough." And for the first time, I believed it. The gala headlines hit the next morning. Twin sisters cause chaos at ad agency gala, identity theft alleged. My phone blew up with texts, coworkers, clients, even Jake. I didn't answer any of them. I just sat in the quiet apartment, lights off, city humming outside, and let myself breathe. The breaking point had come, and somehow, against every odd, I'd survived it. But survival isn't the end. It's just the beginning of figuring out who the hell you are when the mirror finally tells the truth.
The courtroom in the Cook County Criminal Division smelled like old coffee, floor wax, and nervous sweat. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting everything in a sickly yellow glow. I sat on the witness stand in a simple gray blazer and black pants. Nothing flashy, nothing that screamed victim. Just me, Emily Thompson, the real one. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Carla Reyes with a no-nonsense bob and a voice like steel wrapped in velvet, had prepped me for 3 days straight. They'll try to make you look unstable, she warned. They'll paint Ava as the misunderstood sister, the one who's always been in your shadow. Stick to facts, dates, evidence. Don't let emotion take the wheel. I nodded like I understood, but standing there, right hand on the Bible, swearing to tell the truth, I felt the emotion rising anyway, like bile in the back of my throat. Ava sat at the defense table in an ill-fitting navy suit the public defender had probably pulled from a donation bin. Her hair was pulled back in a neat ponytail, makeup minimal. She looked smaller than I remembered, vulnerable, almost like the little girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms and whisper, "Don't let the monsters get me, Em." But the monsters weren't outside anymore. They were sitting right there, wearing my face. When it was my turn, Carla started gentle. "Miss Thompson, can you describe your relationship with your twin sister, Ava Thompson?" I swallowed. We were close growing up, identical twins. We shared everything, clothes, secrets, friends. After our parents divorced, we leaned on each other more. I was the structured one. She was freer. And when did things change? Last summer. She moved in with me after a breakup. At first, it was fine. Then she started impersonating me, texting my boyfriend as me, sending photos, changing work documents. Eventually, she slept with him, pretending to be me. The jury shifted. A few wrote notes. One older woman in the front row pressed her lips together tight. Carla projected exhibits on the screen, screenshots of texts, credit card statements, the motel security photo, the lipstick message on the wall. Each one landed like a punch. "And the night of the gala?" Carla asked. I arrived to find her there, dressed exactly like me, talking to my boss. She introduced herself as Emily Thompson. When I confronted her, she claimed I was the unstable one. Security separated us. Police were called. "Did you ever give her permission to use your identity?" "Never." Carla paused, letting the silence settle. "Miss Thompson, why do you believe your sister did these things?" I looked at Ava. She was staring at the table, fingers twisting in her lap. "I think she resented me," I said quietly. "Our mom always praised my grades, my college acceptance, my job. Ava got called the troublemaker, the screw-up. I think she wanted to feel what it was like to be the good twin, to have the life I built. So she tried to take it, piece by piece." The defense attorney, a young guy named Patel who looked barely out of law school, stood up for cross-examination. He adjusted his tie like it was armor. "Miss Thompson, isn't it true that you and your sister have a history of pranks, switching places, pretending to be each other?" "Yes, when we were kids.
And as adults. A few times, for fun, never malicious. So how can the jury be sure this wasn't just another twin thing that got out of hand? I met his eyes. Because kids don't drain bank accounts. They don't forge loan applications. They don't sleep with their sister's boyfriend while wearing her face. That's not a prank. That's destruction. He tried a different angle. You testified that your sister has a history of instability, anger issues, therapy, correct? Yes. Could it be that she's unwell, that she needs help, not prison? I felt the trap. She needs both, help and consequences. Patel smiled thinly. No further questions. When I stepped down, my legs felt like they might give out. I walked past Ava's table. She looked up. Our eyes met for half a second. No smirk this time, just something hollow. The next day, the defense called their witness, Dr. Elena Vasquez, Ava's court-ordered psychiatrist. Dr. Vasquez was calm, measured. Ava suffers from severe identity disturbance, exacerbated by the unique psychological bond of identical twins. She experiences what we call twinship enmeshment, an inability to fully differentiate self from sibling. In her case, this manifested as an obsessive need to inhabit her sister's identity. It's not malice, it's pathology. The jury leaned forward. She's not a criminal mastermind, Dr. Vasquez continued. She's a woman who never developed a separate sense of self. Emily's success became a mirror she couldn't look away from. She didn't want to destroy her sister. She wanted to become her. Carla stood. But doctor, does pathology excuse fraud, theft, sexual assault by deception? No, but it explains it. Treatment, intensive therapy, possibly medication, could address the root cause. Prison may only deepen the dissociation. I sat in the gallery, fist clenched. Part of me hated Dr. Vasquez for making Ava sound sympathetic. Another part hated myself for feeling a flicker of pity. Closing arguments came fast. Carla painted Ava as calculated, dangerous. Patel painted her as broken, redeemable. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Guilty on all counts. Identity theft, financial fraud, forgery, stalking, and, most painfully, sexual misconduct by impersonation. Sentencing was 2 weeks later. 24 months in Dwight Correctional Center, plus restitution. Every cent she'd stolen, plus damages. Mandatory therapy, no contact order. I didn't attend sentencing. I couldn't watch them lead her away in cuffs again. But Carla called me afterward. She broke down in the courtroom, she said. Sobbed like a child. Kept repeating your name. Tell Emily I'm sorry. Tell her I never wanted to hurt her. I sat on my couch, phone pressed to my ear, staring at the wall. Do you believe her? I asked. I don't know. That night I went to therapy for the first time since the arrest. Dr. Patel, not the lawyer, a different one, was kind but direct. Betrayal from a twin is unique, she said. It's not just losing a sister, it's losing half of your identity. The person who was supposed to understand you best used that understanding as a weapon. I cried then, hard. The kind of crying that leaves you empty afterward. I still see her face in the mirror sometimes, I admitted, and I flinch. That's trauma, Dr. Patel said. But the mirror isn't her anymore, it's yours. Reclaim it one day at a time. Weeks turned into months. I moved to a new apartment in Logan Square, smaller, brighter, no shared history. New locks, new routines. I started running along a river path at dawn, letting the cold air burn my lungs clean. Jake reached out once, a letter, handwritten. I still think about you every day. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but if you ever want to talk, I'm here. I burned it in the kitchen sink, watched the flames curl the edges until nothing was left but ash. Ava sent one letter from prison. I recognized the handwriting immediately. Mine, but not mine. M. I don't expect you to read this, or forgive me. I'm in group therapy now. They make us talk about enmeshment and boundaries. It hurts. I see now how much I hurt you. I thought stealing your life would make me feel whole. It just made me disappear more. I'm sorry. Not the fake kind, the real kind. Ava. I didn't write back, but I kept the letter. Folded it small. Tucked it in a drawer. Not forgiveness. Not yet. Evidence. Proof that somewhere, beneath the pathology and the pain, a piece of my sister still existed. And maybe, one day, when the mirror stopped flinching, I'd decide what to do with that piece. Until then, I kept moving forward. One reflection at a time.
6 months after the sentencing, I packed up my Logan Square apartment and drove west. Not forever, just long enough to breathe air that didn't smell like betrayal. Seattle welcomed me with gray skies and coffee that actually tasted like something. I landed a remote senior creative role at a mid-sized agency downtown. Smaller team, bigger impact, no one who knew my backstory. No whispers in the break room, no double takes when I walked in. The new place was a one-bedroom on Capitol Hill with tall windows and a view of the Space Needle on clear days. I filled it slowly. Thrifted bookshelves, plants I actually remembered to water, a record player that spun vinyl on quiet evenings, no pull-out couch for crashing sisters, no spare key hidden under the mat, just me. Therapy continued twice a week via Zoom. Dr. Patel helped me unpack the mirror flinches, the nightmares where Ava's face replaced mine in every reflection. "You're not healing from a breakup," she said once. "You're healing from an amputation. Half of you was stolen, then weaponized against you. It's okay if it takes time to grow new skin over the wound." I started running again, long loops around Lake Union at dawn, earbuds in, breathing in rhythm with my footsteps. The cold rain stung my face and washed away the Chicago ghosts a little more each time. I bought a journal, wrote the ugly things first, the rage, the guilt, the what-ifs, then the quieter ones. I am allowed to be happy without her permission. I am allowed to exist without a shadow. Jake's letter stayed burned, but one rainy Tuesday, my phone buzzed with an unknown number, Seattle area code. I almost didn't answer. "Emily?" His voice hadn't changed, warm, a little hesitant now. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the rain streaking the window. "Hey. I heard you moved. Sarah mentioned it. I wasn't going to call, but I needed to say something." I waited. "I'm in therapy too," he said, "twice a week. Turns out, getting tricked into sleeping with your girlfriend's identical twin messes with your head more than you'd think. I still replay that night. I still hate myself for not seeing it, for not questioning it. I should have known you better." I closed my eyes. "You couldn't have. She was perfect at being me." "Maybe, but I should have known us better. The way you always double-check the stove before bed. The way you laugh when you're really happy, not the polite one. I missed those details. I let the fantasy version win because it was easier than admitting I'd been blind." Silence stretched between us. "I don't expect anything," he continued. "I just needed you to know I'm sorry, really sorry, and that I hope you're okay, wherever you are." "I'm getting there." "Good. That's more than I deserve to hear." We hung up. I didn't cry, I just sat there, listening to the rain, feeling the last thread between us finally snap clean. Ava wrote again 3 months later, postmarked from Dwight Correctional Center, same careful handwriting. "M. They let me call Mom last week. She cried the whole time, told me you moved to Seattle, said you sound different on the phone, stronger. I'm glad. Therapy here is brutal. They make us face the mirror every session, literally, sit in front of one and talk about who we see. First month, I couldn't look. Now I can. I see me, not you, just me, smaller, scared, angry, but me. I don't ask for forgiveness. I know I don't get to, but I want you to know I'm trying to build something that's mine, not borrowed, not stolen, just mine. If you ever want to write back, I'll be here. If not, I get it. I love you, always did, even when I hated you for being everything I wasn't. Ava." I read it 3 times. Then I folded it, slid it into the same drawer as the first one. Still no reply. Not yet. Maybe never. But the drawer stayed open a little longer each time I looked at it. A year after the trial, Sarah flew out for a long weekend. We hiked Mount Rainier trails, drank too much Pinot at a tiny winery, talked until 3 a.m. on my balcony. She asked the question I'd been avoiding. "Do you miss her?" I stared at the city lights below. I miss who we used to be, the kids who finished each other's sentences, the teenagers who swapped dates and laughed about it. I miss the sister who had my back before she decided to stab it. That girl's gone, Sarah nodded. Maybe, or maybe she's buried under all the damage. I don't know if I'll ever dig her out, or if I even want to. You don't have to decide today. I know. We clinked glasses. The rain started again, soft, steady. Seattle rain feels different from Chicago's, less punishing, more like a promise that things keep moving even when you're standing still. 2 years in, I got the promotion I'd once dreamed about in the Loop, creative director, my own small team, a campaign that went viral, simple, honest, human. No taglines stolen from midnight rewrites, just mine. I still check my locks twice, still freeze when I see a woman with my hair cut from behind, still wake up sometimes reaching for a phone that might have texts I didn't send, but the panic fades faster now. The mirror shows only one face most mornings, and when it doesn't, when the old flinch comes, I look straight at it and say out loud, "You're safe, you're real, you're enough." The hardest lesson wasn't that Ava betrayed me, it was realizing betrayal from the person who knows you best cuts deepest because it uses your own shape as the weapon. But it also taught me the shape of my own strength, the shape of boundaries, the shape of a life built without needing a twin to complete it. Blood is thick, but it isn't unbreakable. And sometimes the darkest mirrors don't shatter you. They show you who you've become when the reflection finally stops lying. I hug my friends tighter now. I listen harder when someone says they're struggling. I keep one eye open, not because of fear, but because of wisdom. Because you never know who's wearing your face, but you always know who's wearing your heart. And that one, that belongs to me. Only me.